2, 1.
Good afternoon. I hope you are doing well today. Welcome to Real Estate in Kenya with Reuben Kimani. Today we are talking about inflation. What do you understand when inflation is mentioned? What comes to mind? What is the effect on inflation on real estate? But specifically, we'll be talking about how to invest when inflation is high in real estate. Can you profit from inflation? Is it possible to invest when inflation is high? We are talking about real estate, but it also applies to other instruments of investment. My name is Reuben, Username Investment Limited CEO. Welcome back. We're going to deconstruct for you what it means to invest when the inflation is high. We also do this every other 2 weeks to tell you more about real estate. What is happening in real estate space? If you're an investor out there, we also educate you and create awareness to ensure you know when to invest, where to build your own home, when it's sound, and we keep informing you on a daily basis. Thank you for tuning in and welcome back. What is inflation? You remember, let me give you an example about bread prices. For the last 5 or 10 years, the cost of bread was very low. If you check the cost of bread today, goes for quite an amount. Used to be like 20% of the value of bread today. Same for sugar. You remember, for those people who are there in the 90s, for 5 things, and they are all those things between the 90s, the 2000s, and right now. Maybe the bread was like 5 bob. Right now we are talking about, depending on the size that you are buying, we're talking about 40, 50 or something of the sort. That is called inflation, is the increase in the price of goods and services over a period of time. It's called inflation. So what causes inflation? I'm going to give you 4 causes very fast. There's something called cost push inflation. This is caused by the increase in price of goods and services, most likely due to external factors. And when this cost of goods and services increased, the producers, these are the manufacturers, they push the cost to the consumers. There's also something called demand pull inflation. When the demand for a particular product is so high, and maybe the country cannot be able to produce. I'll give an example of maize, for example, or wheat. We have had a low production of wheat in the country. We have to keep importing. What happens to the price of wheat? It has to go up because demand is very high, the supply is so low. So when the prices go up, that causes inflation. The other thing is policies and regulation from government. Include taxes. Government increases taxes on particular items, the cost of these items go up and it causes inflation. I know they are doing inflation, something called inflation adjustment taxes, which I think is not fair, because inflation causes another inflation. It comes a cycle that you cannot be able to stop. There's also something called increasing money. This is something that some people ask about. If you are looking for why would the government not print more money? Of course, this is not possible. Inflation, you print money and money in circulation to the economy. What happens is that people have so much money. I'm assuming you had 1,000 in your pocket today. If the government prints more money, maybe you'll have 1,000. People will start fighting for the few products and services that are in the market because everyone has a lot of money, and that's what happened in Zimbabwe, for example. That causes inflation. Bread, maybe 100 grams that was about 50 bob can even go for 500 shillings or 1,000 shillings because people have so much money in their pockets. Those 4 things causes inflation. I also want to tell you what is the effect of inflation on real estate, because that's what we are talking about today. But before then, there's also an effect on inflation on your saving and investment. If you wanted to invest $1 million today, if you had a million, if you want a million which you want to invest in 5 years, the rate of inflation as per October statistics is 9.6%. If you look at the interest rates, if you put your money into a savings account, it is at 8%. Inflation is at 9.6%. The saving at which you get when you save your money at 8%. So it means you are losing money. Inflation causes you to lose money if you put it in an investment vehicle where the rate of return is lower than inflation. So you have to keep checking inflation if you put your money in real estate, in treasury bills, in the money market funds. You have to check that the inflation is lower than the rate of return that you are getting. If inflation is higher, you are losing your money every other year. And it means in 5 years period, your 1 million will become maybe valueless. It become less than half of the amount that you put in. That is what inflation is all about. What types of assets are good for beating inflation? There are many investment vehicles you can assets. I can mention a few. We have real estate, we have money market funds, we have treasury bills and bonds, we have other like equity, we have people who buy stocks. These are assets, things that you can consider when investing. So to be able to beat inflation, you have to check the rate of return, which is measured per annum per year. You have to check that rate is higher than the rate of inflation. Which types of asset classes can give you a higher return as compared to inflation? The first one is real estate. This goes without saying. If you look at Nakuru, for example, there's a report that came out. The rate of appreciation of land prices in Nakuru County was at 12%. This for me is actually at the highest level. Because if you look at our properties, you had a property in 2018 selling for 399,000. The same property is going for almost 1,000,000 shillings at the moment. That is double the amount in the last 4 years or so. But this report is giving the appreciation at 12.7%. The inflation rate, as I mentioned, was at 9.6%. What does that tell you? That asset class is giving you a better return, higher than the inflation rate. So that is a good investment. So real estate is the first one. And if you want to invest in real estate, there are so many ways to do it. Number one, you can invest. The easiest way is to buy land. That's why many Kenyans are buying plot all over the country. But you have to buy in places that can appreciate. That's why we look at these reports. That's why we do these Facebook videos to give you this kind of information. This is Nakuru County. The other reports about other areas in the country, areas like in Machakos, in Kajiado County, in Nairobi counties, in Kiambu County. You have to keep checking these reports to know which area can give you a higher return. We have properties we have sold in Gong, for example, which have appreciated so many times, from a low of 150,000 to a high of almost 1,000,000 shillings in the last 4 to 5 years. They have given a return of almost 30% per annum, which is very high. So these are the kind of assets we are talking about. You can also invest in a rental property, and not all rental properties, because most of the rental properties, especially the high-end market, we are experiencing a bit of stagnation. So you don't want to put your money there. Maybe the affordable housing part, where the rate of return is way higher. Every 1,000,000 shillings invest in a rental property, you should get a minimum of 10%, which is 10,000 per month. For every 1,000,000 shilling, that means that you invest in real estate, you should be able to get at least 10,000 a month. That one. So 5 million shillings should give you a minimum of 10,000 per month. If you are getting less, your return is way lower. So because of inflation, investing should be rental properties, affordable housing, the affordable housing segment. Most of them are able to give you a return of more than 10%. High-end properties are not able to do that because of stagnation. segment. And the other thing I want to mention, the rents also increase, because what happens with the inflation, inflation causes uh, the, the, the cost of real estate to go up. When inflation goes up, the cost of real estate also goes up. What does that say? Most people will not be able to buy some of these properties in the long term. What happens is that most people are forced to go and rent properties. If people are renting properties, what happens to the rental prices? They keep going up. So if they are going up, any investor who is going to the rental properties can be able to get value for their money. We also have high mortgage rates as a result of inflation. Central Bank the other day adjusted the base rate, I think, to almost 85.5% or something of the sort. I'm not able to check. But that increase means that you may receive an email from your bank today telling you that the interest rates for your loan has increased, whether it's a personal loan or it's a mortgage. So whether that means most people are not able to take up mortgage facilities, which means that most people are not able to buy new homes. So they'll keep renting, and the landlord will keep increasing their prices. That's why I'm talking about affordable payment for rental properties would be something that maybe you would like to consider. The people who do those one room or two room houses, they're in the village and they're able to get a very high return compared to someone who is doing apartment somewhere in Kimani. That's how it works. You have to do your math very properly, because you have to do dignified housing. Sometimes you have to do your check very well to ensure that you have a way higher return. The other ways of losing your money in the time of inflation, I'm going to mention some of them very fast. If you put your money in a savings account or a current account which gives 6 or 7%, you are losing your money. Inflation is at 9.6%. Don't put your money in current account. Put it in a plot instead. Put it in a piece of stock, a share of stock. Stock is also a good way. I've not been able to mention it so much, but you need to understand how stock markets work. That's why real estate and plots are way easier. Number two, if you put your money in merry-go-rounds, it's called table banking, you keep giving your money, of course your money is not gaining any value. If you put 100 shillings every month and you are 10 people, that is 1,000 shillings, maybe you get your money is not in value, so you lose. Because if you invest in loss-making ventures, for those people who are in business, and we have covered this before in my channel, please go and check out those videos. If you put money in loss-making ventures, you keep losing your money. That's a different topic altogether. For the many young people, even old people these days are betting and gambling. You keep losing your money, because for every 1 million people who bet, only 1%. Imagine your odds is 1 out of 1 million people. For every 1 million people who bet, only 1 person benefit from that scheme. A wise person, a wise investor, and I believe all of us who are watching today are wise, you do not make such a decision. It's a poor decision and you'll keep losing. And you might die before you ever even make out of those betting and gambling activities. There's also fear of investing. This is called adopting a approach. For some people, they keep adopting a wait-and-see approach. You don't want to invest now. You are afraid of inflation. You are afraid of taxes. You are afraid of electioneering period. I'm trying to convince you today you don't need to be afraid of such. You need to invest in knowledge to understand how inflation works, how real estate works, how stock works. Keep investing in this information, and you can be able to tell at any time, is there a way of benefiting from inflation? Of course, yes. There are things, instrument of trade, instrument of investment, that become very prime, very strategic every time there is high inflation, and especially connected to inflation. It has created very many billionaires in the US. There are so many people who got rich during the COVID era, a few people who saw opportunities where people saw darkness, where people saw impossibilities. So every time you hear something is challenging, especially in the economy, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. You look the other way, you try to think, how can I benefit from this challenge? How can I make this better for myself? You can benefit from inflation, by the way, I've been able to mention. When inflation goes up, there are opportunities that are created. So most people are afraid it has an effect on the economy. An overall effect is negative, but there are opportunities that you can take advantage of to be able to survive this. How do you survive these challenging times? You can take advantage of rewards, loyalties, and discounts that are offered during this time. They are company that you will jump ship and try to find ways of making more business during this time. You can jump into these opportunities. You will find discounts. We have a property, for example, we are giving a discount where you buy for 599,000 instead of 649,000. A big 30 to 50,000 discount or thereabout. You can come check with us. I believe there are other organizations doing the same. Please jump into those opportunities. Also invest in high investment return, and this is where real estate comes in, and land as a vehicle of investment usually have the highest, and this is selected land. The people who are buying land in places that has no opportunity for growth. I don't want to mention those places, but you also give you a certain factors to check, which I can list very fast. You have to check places where people want to build their own homes. Those are places that will keep appreciating forever. That is so easy to understand. Which are these places where people want to live? People want to live with places with gated communities, and that's what we create as username investment. People want to live with places with water, with electricity, in a good atmosphere where they can raise their families. People want to live in places that are not very far from access. We are talking about distance from CBD, which is very important. People want to live in places that mostly are touching or next to tarmacs, because you want to drive, like right now it's raining, you want to drive and get home when instead of you want to drive and get home where you don't get stuck on the road. Those are factors that are obvious. If you look at population growth, urbanization, these are things that will continue for a very long time. So you'll find places that are near cities that have not been exploited, where companies like Username are going to create these communities. These are perfect places where you put your money, it will keep appreciating. We have one of the projects where people are building so many houses to an extent where people keep looking for plots there. We sold all of them. Guess what? Some few years ago are reselling those property at high rates, because those are valuable properties where people can build their own houses. I'm giving these tips because I know you can also be able to look at other areas wherever you are in this country, whether you're in Mombasa, Kisumu, other areas where people want to settle. Those are places where you can put your money. Of course, you can do rentals like I've mentioned, but it is on the lower income segment, not the higher income segment, where you can be able to get a higher return. The other investment, but you can benefit from inflation if you choose to look at the opportunities instead of looking at the downtimes, instead of looking at the disadvantages, stumbling blocks, and all that manner of things, and the anxiety that comes with the inflation, the high cost of goods and services. Of course, we have to keep working hard. That is all I have to share today. Please tell us what you understand by inflation. What other ideas that you think somebody can implement to take advantage of inflation? Thank you so much. This is Real Estate in Kenya with Reuben Kimani. I would like to see you every other 2 weeks as we cover this industry-specific, real estate-specific investment tips, awareness, and also deconstructing difficult terms and ideas about real estate. Thank you so much, and God bless you. do the one.